So the curtains have closed on EGX 2016 Day 1, which is the biggest gaming convention in the UK if you're wondering, and I've been busy looking at lots of new games coming out. And the one thing that I noticed is, even though a mass of people rushed straight down the middle, past all of the indie stalls and down to Battlefield 1 to play on the same map that, we saw on E3 with Snoop Dogg playing it, what was really the innovation and the really interesting games were the indie stalls that were at the very front. And I've got some games that I'm really looking forward to and on my most anticipated list, the first of which is Aragami. And you're basically a undead assassin that's been summoned by a vengeful, I think, spirit. I don't know if it's actually a woman that's alive or a spirit in the start of the game. But basically, you have a very debatable role in the game as you start off in a Temple of Light, murdering all of the sort of samurai that are defending this Temple of Light. But the interesting fact is that in the darkness, you are hidden and you become invisible and part of the shadow. And when you're outside of the shadow, you become very easy to spot. And it's completely focused on stealth, and any little mistake, being spotted by a guard and you're dead. You only need one shot to die, and it gives a lot of tension to the game. And a lot of the assassinations are quite fun. You can teleport on top of sort of like the archways, Japanese archways, and jump down and do aerial kills or stab from behind. I think it's going to be a great game when it finally comes out, and it's something to definitely watch out for. The Signal From Tolva is probably another one that you haven't heard of. It's only just been announced. I think it was actually the first playable build that was being shown here at EGX. Basically, in some ways, it's a bit like Far Cry with having sort of factions across a map, and you're sort of taking over outposts and things. But the interesting thing is that there's an overarching story about how this world came to be. And there's loads of robot factions. And basically, another interesting fact is that you aren't actually one of the robot factions or the robots. You hack into the factions and become a player in that faction, and you're sort of dabbling in the faction wars. And it doesn't necessarily mean that if you defeat one faction, you are doing well, because you can always dip into another faction. But really what you want to do, what you're doing, is uncovering the story and what the mystery of the Signal From Tolva is, as you're really unraveling the world. And it sounds quite interesting, their sort of expanded universe, and apparently they've got a sci-fi writer on the case, but that's definitely something to watch out for as well. Although this one might be coming out in quite a while, maybe 2017 sometime. Tokyo 42 is almost like a cross between the old GTAs, the top-down viewed GTAs where you're shooting across isometric, maybe a bit like Hotline Miami in some ways in the shooting mechanics, but it has this really bombastic Neo Tokyo, but really like cutesy art design, and with the very futuristic, and it has a twisting map with very cuboid shapes. And basically, you play little missions and in a sort of linear maps, but in a sort of open world that's linked within these sprawling maps and missions that you go on, both in its visual design and the actual gameplay, really resembling something like Hotline Miami or GTA. And the amount of enemies that are there and the action and chaos that ensues looks like it'll be a very fun game indeed. Please ignore my gameplay of the game. I was pretty rubbish. I jumped into one of the hardest levels that they'd got unlocked, as somebody been playing for quite a long time. And that's one thing to note, that there were some people I was waiting and watching that I didn't film that were playing well, and they played for a long time. I mean, maybe they were a bit self-absorbed, but that's a good sign for a game. Then there's Yooka-Laylee. If you haven't heard of it yet, it's basically all of the old Rare devs from the N64 games that we all love, like Banjo-Kazooie and Conker's Bad Fur Day and Perfect Dark, getting together and making another platformer. And they really are some of the masters of platformers. With Banjo-Kazooie back in the day, the levels evolved as you played them, and if you changed something in the map, it changed the whole map, like water levels, or even seasons changing in some of the maps. Honestly, the first demo map really just seems to be showing off all of the mechanics, like the minecarts and the transmutation and things like that. but it is very promising as it just feels like Banjo-Kazooie or any. It's just got a lot of charm, it works very well as a platformer, and it's got so much heart. Then we've got Mekazoo, which is, it's mainly sort of side-scrolling, although there are odd moments where the camera will pan around and you'll sort of shift into the 3D space. But basically, there's two modes to your character: the armadillo, which can run up walls, a bit like Sonic, and then a frog, which can lick out and grab things and swing around. But you need to be doing these two things a lot and in quick succession, which I'm terrible at, by the way. But it was very fun and just seemed something quite different. It was like a new step in the genre, and I think it's definitely something to be looking out for. It's got a lot of a very cute design too, and I think the design team said they were from Seattle or maybe Los Angeles. I feel bad now, I've completely forgotten, but they seem very nice too. And then a non-indie game that's quite nice because it's coming to PC is the Gears of War 4. We got to play the Horde mode, and this time I wasn't allowed to record just the screen. They said it needs to have your head and shoulders in it, so there we are. But yeah, it's basically Gears of War. If you like Gears of War 1, 2, or 3, you're going to like Gears of War 4. It's just, yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it. And coming to Windows 10, I mean, if you don't have that operating system, it's a bit of a bummer. And I know that Microsoft are really pushing this platform. But again, having more Xbox exclusives, well, previously exclusives coming to PC is always a great thing in my opinion. The more that comes over to the PC, the better. And these franchises like Halo with Forge coming before and Gears of War coming is fantastic. I just hope more and more stuff gets pushed onto the PC, even if it has to be Windows 10. I know that's a bit of a bummer, but again, they did offer it for free for quite a while. I'm not sure if you can still get it for free, but anyway, I'm enjoying EGX 2016 a lot, and I'll be having lots more videos out from now on. I just thought I'd leave you on the note of a game that's actually come out, and it's called Unboxed. It's a bit like Mario Kart, sort of slashed with being in a box. It's got really weird physics of being in a box, and sort of you unwrap yourself to boost yourself into the air. There's a lot more aerial flight, I guess, in this game than there is in like a Mario Kart game. But it's very fun, and actually something that you should probably check out if you want to have a bit of a blast. It's actually 4-player on controllers, so you can plug it into your PC, the 4 controllers, which I think is something nice as well, because although online play is great, it's sometimes nice to have all your friends around and to plug in some controllers, if you have any, that is. Anyway, those were my most anticipated games from day one. I didn't get around all of the booths. I saw a lot of good games too that I haven't mentioned, but maybe they weren't at the stage where I could really say, oh yeah, this is great, or they didn't quite catch my attention yet. Either way, there's a lot of great things coming, folks, and I definitely check out the games that I've mentioned because they are quite snappy. Add something different to the gaming market. Anyway, I'm going to get on and head off to EGX tomorrow and hopefully have some more to show you. And next time, hopefully I can get some more shots of the general sort of event rather than the on-screen gameplay. It was also really, really nice to talk to the developers. And honestly, if you get the chance to go to a gaming expo again, they were talking, the indie developers especially, were talking to everybody, not just the press or whatever. I mean, it was just nice to have that interaction. Even on the Yooka-Laylee game, where they're slightly bigger than normal indie games because of how popular they were in the past, they were still going around chatting to almost everyone that was playing, giving tips, giving a bit of development insight. It was really enlightening, and I'm glad that I've gone to EGX now. Anyway, until next time, everybody, Joshi.